Hello again. I am your host, Johnny, with Behind the Lava Lava. And today we have a special treat for you. We are joined by the usual suspects. We have Michael, Fatu, and Migi, Pati. The other guys couldn't make it in tonight due to unfortunate circumstances. However, we have a treat for you in that we have a special guest. He goes by the name of Lani Alo. And you guys might know him for as an award-winning composer, gospel music. He graduated with a bachelor's from the University of Otago in New Zealand, and then a postgraduate with a diploma in music and performing arts. In 2018, his choir Te Atatu Junior Youth won Best Gospel Artist Award at the Vodafone Pacific Music Awards, and in 2020, he won the Best Gospel Pacific Artist and Best Pacific Song at the Pacific Music Awards for his debut solo single, Alo I Ou Faiva. Welcome, Lani. I know we spoke before previously that you like to go by Lesā, and so we'll refer to you by that title as a form of endearment and respect. And so I'm going to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, tell us something about yourself, likes, dislikes, family background, wife, kids, any of the sort. What's your favorite sports team, et cetera, et cetera. Take it away, Lani.
Seki, whaftai malewa noa. Thank you for the warm welcome as well as the very kind intro. Talofa lava everyone. Alo I Ou Lesā, me Titi Lani Alo. Most just know me as Lani or Lesā. I am. Should I tell my age? Is the age?
Nah, we're all 21. We're all 21.
Yeah, of course, honorary 21. Born and bred in West Auckland and the suburb of Massey here in Auckland. I am a proud son of the E Whakasā Church. Born and bred at E Whakasā Te Aratu. Currently serving at E Whakasā Albany. I am a musician, an artist, full-time creative, and likes and dislikes. I like the color black. Favorite color is black. Yeah. Dislikes. I might have to think about that one. Dislikes. Yeah, we might come back to that. I have a think about that. But I love all things creative. I love reading. I love obviously all things to do with music. I have a passion for photography, which is probably a bit kind of left field for like a singer, but I have a thing for photography and editing and slowly getting in and out of film or like filming and videography. But that's just a little bit about me. Yeah, thank you again for having me on today's session.
So I usually like to open up with an icebreaker, and today's icebreaker is what childhood memory stands out to you. There's that childhood memory that lingers in the back of your head. And I'll start it off and we'll go around the room. So for me, when I was young in America, Samoa, there was a Sualevai that ran through our village. And at that Sualevai, there was a mango tree, a big mango tree. And we used to swing with the vines from that mango tree across the Sualevai. I remember us swinging, and then at one point, my brother decided to do it one day, and the vine broke, and he went head first into the Sualevai, straight into where the rocks it was, and it was a bad moment. I saw a huge slit on his head, and I think I was blamed for that, even though he was older than me, but. Yeah, that memory stands out to me because it was an incident that I think I was blamed for. And I remember that day, and then we learned that day never to swing on the vines on the mango trees. And yeah, that was my experience.
Safe.
So you shared what? Just a memory?
Childhood memory.
Oh, yeah. The memory, me, I don't have a memory, but I have a recent event though, because was it past weekend? Just had my family reunion. Just met some people I, haven't met at all in my life. So other than a memory, I had a great time this weekend. That's why I had to miss, an episode this weekend. All right, next person.
I got one for you. I remember, if anybody who knows me, and knows me personally, one of the biggest major impact to my life when I was a child. I was 5 years old, and we used to go. There was this pama'a that divided my house in Fua'ongo, in Kafunga, American Samoa. And me and the neighbor's kids, which coincidentally was my cousins, we used to just sit on the pama'a and Eva and talk and stuff. Well, there was a girl that came from down the street, and I remember she asked me if if I could go and buy her a little package of saimin, because we eat saimin maka. And so I went into my brother's piggy bank, stole a quarter. Mind you, I'm almost 5. I'm like 4 years old. And then I walked across to go to the store to go buy me a saimin, package saimin. And I remember crossing, got the saimin, and I was on my way back. And this was at the Rainbow Laundromat in Tafuna. And everything goes black. I don't remember a lot. What had happened was I got hit by a car, and my leg got drug across, tore a bunch of tendons, ripped a bunch of skin, and I was ran over completely by a car. Ended up in the hospital for like a month and a half. I had a bunch of surgery, skin grafts, reattach everything, and spent my 5th birthday in the hospital. And all that just to, for a girl. So, moral of the story, do you kings. Don't go out for a girl like that. And then the funniest part is I barely even remember her name, what she looks like, or where she's from. I was really, really young, but yeah, since then I've lived with this scar, disfigured left leg or left foot, and my whole life. And it's funny how one little decision can change you for the rest of your life at such an early age.
So one of my most fondest memories was back in Sailili in American Samoa. A lot of our listeners don't know where Sailili is, but it's one of the villages that's called a Maltback village, all the way on the east side of American Samoa. So our village is kind of isolated, where i.e. Maltback, for that matter, all the way in the back of the mountains. And one of our very best games, we grow up with back in our village is called Ingavea. And Ingavea in English is hide and go seek. But this is, you're playing it on a larger stage, and this is in front of your whole village. And you're talking about all the kids in the village, and then, you got X amount of kids, maybe 15 on one team, and then 15 on one team. And then on each team, there's always a, a captain. That captain is, if one team is going to go hide, and the other team are looking for that team, if they find the captain, the whole team on that team is it. So fortunately, I was captain for one team, and so happens on that day we had some visitors to our village, and these visitors consisted of some beautiful tainas. And ideally, when you have beautiful tainas in the village, you want to show off, and you want them on your side. So long story short, I ended up on the mountain with one of these tainas. And we were hiding up there for the longest time, and the other team couldn't find us. So I'll let you guys play on the imagination on that. But I think I was 8 or 9 years old during that time, and she was a visitor coming in. I think she was 11 or 12. I didn't know what I was doing. She didn't know what she was doing. Exploration, coming of age. So that was one of my fondest memories. I guess also one of my first times, whatever your fantasies, when I lie in there. But yeah, good memories. Though I'm repeating it here, but I'm not going to ever repeat it again. Hopefully my lady doesn't watch this episode, but that's one of my fondest memories of, childhood.
Babe, if you're watching this, I was at a church meeting. I didn't know this guy back then.
Not the confession.
Should have left you to last.
Yeah, I should have left him.
My memory is actually a really brief memory. Probably not as adventurous as as Vingy's, but I remember when I was in primary school, and my brother there'd be days when my brother used to pick me up, and he had like this bomb as like black. I think it was like a bluebird or something. He used to pick me up in every day, and the one thing I used to look forward to, and I remember this distinctly, is jumping in his car, and he had like a CD with the Grease soundtrack. And every day after school, I used to look forward to jumping in the car, and he would jam that soundtrack. Like he'd jam that CD every day, and I distinctly, it was like a shiny silver CD with like the blue and maybe pink, Grease massive letters, and it was, yeah, man, that was a nice way to grow up. Like that time, he really, him and my sister really shared some good music with me, and can't go wrong with Frankie Valli, man. So yeah, that was a good memory.
Jeez, we're gonna have to get that John Travolta high note at the very end before we leave you today for summer loving.
Maybe serenade us.
Over the live stream, let's go.
Right. So we're gonna continue on with our session now, and so I know you've probably had in multiple interviews people asking you, what brought you into music, what got you into music, and I know you've primarily leaned towards the gospel influence as far as your music is concerned. To ask someone who's passionate about something is to essentially ask, why is the sky blue? It's intrinsic to them. It's something that they believe in, and it comes naturally. They don't have to. It's hard to explain at certain times. But what do you feel has been your driving influence continuing further with music aside from passion? Is there anything else like family, i.e. faith, successes in music of the sort?
I honestly, I think like it's if I wasn't doing music, I really don't know what else I'd be doing. You know what I mean? Like, some people have like rugby players, pursue a career in rugby, and then they might have like a law degree on the side, or like a business degree. All my qualifications are in music. Like everything I know is in the performing arts, and so I mean, maybe coming up and growing up, I was doing music, I was doing theater. Maybe theater could be like the other kind of potential pathway that I could have pursued. But apart from it being my passion and something that I've known all my life, like that's it. I don't see myself doing anything else apart from anything music related. Like even right now, like I've been able to pick up, like this role. I work here at one of the radio stations here in Auckland, and obviously that comes with marketing and promoting and that side of the business. But at the end of the day, you're just like, you're on the airwaves, you drop some good music like this. It's hard to get away from the music. So yeah, I feel like apart from the passion, it's really just there's nothing else in my life apart from music, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And do you have any or what are some of your favorite artists that have influenced your style of music and your passion of music to date? In particular,
there's been a few, and off the top of my head, I can say Kirk Franklin, Vania Toloa, Petaya Foha'i from Te Waka, Ed Sheeran, Bruce Springsteen. I'm a big Springsteen fan, man. Like, and yeah, I know that's quite a colorful list, but it is what it is. Like, it really, if I was to pinpoint, in my music, where this part of a song is influenced by Springsteen, or where this part, like I could make a whole list, but off the top of my head, Those are some of the artists who really shaped the way I approach my sound, and especially when it comes to storytelling and songwriting. Yeah, that's probably like the off the top of the head list.
But usually with people who are passionate about music or make their whole life and career about music, they don't limit themselves to one specific genre. They, it takes a lot to build the toolbox and get it ready. Now, I know you focus primarily on gospel music and that style with choir and such. Do you plan on ever branching out into something else, maybe like a rap album down or bluegrass album coming out?
Bro, absolutely, man. Like, it was never my intention. When we released Alo I Ou Faiva, it was never our intention for it to be like a gospel hit or like because the song, yes, the song has the foundation and undertones of it being a gospel song, but it wasn't intended for it to be that way. It was, on iTunes, they have like all these different genres that you can, assign your music to. And so for me, I think we selected like inspirational or something. Like it led more towards inspirational than gospel. But obviously we're now, I think our people determined its genre. They were like, yeah, that's a gospel song. I was like, cool. It's a gospel song. So yeah, I definitely have intention, at the time of this recording, I'm currently working on what will hopefully be my debut album coming out this year. And I'm not holding anything back in terms of like, it's not just a gospel album. I really want people to hear the rainbow, the colors that make up who I am, so it's not just I feel like it can be very limiting sometimes, and I've felt that in the past where people would be, oh, he's just a gospel artist. Like, no, I'm an artist who can sing gospel, can spread the gospel, but still rock it down to like some good Bruce Springsteen vibes when it needs to be, So yeah, that's. I hope that answers the question. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to comment before I head to my question. So I can count on my fingers or my hand how many inspirational Samoan singers that I listen to. And the reason I mention this is because there's only 3 inspirational Samoan singers who've made me cry, listening to their music. So we got Vania Toloa, Punya Lava'a, and then we have you, Lani Alo. And I can tell you that when I listened to your music when it first came out, I did cry and shed some tears because within, us men, we might be hard outside, but when something comes in and just breaks that soft interior, for me, your song was one of those. It made me very emotional. And when it first came out, man, I was playing it over and over and over. And you know what's funny? I was playing your music today in the car, and my kids don't speak Samoan, and they were singing to your song because I play it so many times that they know the words and the lyrics, and they don't speak Samoan. And I just want to say that you've been a big inspiration, especially for me. It's I find it very important that music that can reach people, and basically it's a song that people can relate to. But I want to ask, when your first song Alo I Ou Faiva came out and you started getting a lot of attention, how was that feeling, and how has it evolved your transition? Well, first,
Wait. Before you answer that one, let's backtrack before you answer that one. Like, what y'all at? Because I've been meaning to ask you. Me and my wife have been meaning to ask you, like, what was your thought process in making the song? Like, before you answer the outcome, I want you to tell me, what started this song? Like, what was the thought process? how long did it take you to write this song? Like, that's what I want to know before you tell me the outcome. I want to know the process of this song because when I told my wife that you were coming on the podcast, she's like, "Okay, I'll watch the kids. You can hop on, and I want you to answer this question. Ask this question." I was like, "Yeah," because I want to know, like, because it's a great hit. Like how some people have one hit wonders, but you follow up with what's the other Tuai Manu. So I want to know the process for Alo I Ou Faiva first before you answer his question. Please.
Yeah, you gotta do what the lady asks you to. Also, you can't say
on
that's
top of those two questions, how important it was that it had to be Samoan. All the lyrics, how important it was had to be Samoan. On top of those guys, two questions, all in one.
Seki.
I mean, y'all could have broke it up for more content, but I mean,
Thank you for the 5 silly. The story of Alo I Ou Faiva really is it's a 14. It's like a 5 year. It's like a 5 year journey. It really is like a 4 or 5 year journey. I started writing the song in 2014, and in 2014 I was in my 3rd year at university, and probably one of the toughest years of my life. I had just been, I'd been given a new role within the student association at the time. I was starting to really push my creative career and that while studying at uni, and it was tough. Like, I was broke. I was staying in a flat. I was living in a flat with a couple of friends. We had like a 5-bedroom flat, but there was only like 2-3 of us, and we couldn't make rent every week. Like, we could not do it. So every week we were just building debt because we couldn't make this rent. We didn't have enough, and I got to a point where life just went. And for those who know Dunedin, where the University of Otago is based at, it's cold, man. It's actually, you guys will probably know the cold much better than I'll take that back. But for those in New Zealand, know that down south and where Otago is, it's very cold. And so I started writing this song in my kitchen, in the flat of my kitchen. It was the jankiest flat ever, but I wrote it on like a real rough nylon string, and I just had the chorus. I don't know where it came from. I was thinking about what parents say to their young ones when they're embarking on a journey, and I don't know what took me to that place. I think when you're in the struggle, when you're going through the rough of it, like your mind takes you to some places that you don't really expect. And so I was thinking about my parents, I was thinking about my church, and through that pain, Alo I Ou Faiva was born. And I sat on that chorus for a good 2 years. I wrote it. I didn't even write it down. I wrote it and I left it in my head, and then I left it, and then I started workshopping it again in 2016 for like a uni performance, and we still just had the chorus. Like, we had nothing, but we done it. We ended up not doing that performance, so then parked it again in 2016. 2018, I was given the opportunity to open for Te Waka. So Te Waka were doing, off the back of the Moana movie, and they were doing like a tour with all the orchestras in New Zealand. And the local orchestra in Dunedin asked, "Oh, hey, we've got this band coming to Dunedin. We don't know if you know them, but their name's Te Waka. Would you like to open for them?" I was like, nah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, okay, why not? Not knowing. Yeah. And so we started workshopping. When I say we, Livingston Ifu, the Usovengalepa who raps on the song. Yeah, I've known him since 2015 through uni. He's my brother. And so we had been living together at the time. And 2018, I was like, let's try and rework this song, because he had heard it in 2016. And then, we didn't end up doing the gig for admin reasons, but we had started workshopping the song. And then we had come up with a verse. And we just we had come up with the verses, and then we had the song. We had the verse, we had the chorus, we had the second verse, we had the chorus, all written. And I don't know why, but we wrote those two verses in our kitchen too. Like, I don't know what the connection is with the kitchen, but yeah. And then 2019 came around, and there was an opportunity to seek funding for new Pacifica music tracks here in New Zealand, provided by New Zealand On Air. And we just gave it a go. We sent in a demo of the song, and we were lucky, and we were fortunate to get that funding, and because of that, we were able to release the song and the video and everything. But that's kind of like a compressed, hopefully not too long, but a compressed version of where the song comes from. But it really came from a place of just absolute like loss for me. I didn't know where I was, and I was failing uni. I was broke, and mental health wasn't that great. And in the midst of all of that, God really, man, he gave a good one. He really gave a good one, and I'll never forget that. What was the other question? Sorry, Migi.
You'll see what happens when you interrupt my question, Fatu, and then you start this.
No. He's asking for Migi's question. You're still on the back burner. Take your time, Lani, answering this question, because I want the whole thing, all details, rice and beans and everything.
No, Lesā, you covered it, so you're pretty good. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Alo I Ou Faiva was one of those songs where I really feel like God and the universe was really like, so be patient, because we had tried numerous times before to foul of the song, to bring the song up, and we just let it sit, and when we finally were given the space and the time to drop it, I was like, it's no turning back from now. So it was a good lesson of patience.
It's almost interesting because Alo I Ou Faiva is a statement that almost means as closely to when we say Ia Manuia O Faiva, to my translation, understanding the concept of what it means. It's so in our culture, in Samoan culture, if you understand the Fatu is when, one speaker or Matai, they get together and they try to, see who's going to speak on behalf of the whole village or whole community. And as soon as everybody agrees, one of the Matais will say, Alo I Ou Faiva, as in, hey, good luck. You're representing us, do us good. That's all of that comes into it. And then if you come into most simplest terms, you go into the family aspect and you come back to your parents and they give that endearment to their kids. Alo I Ou Faiva, as in go out and do the best, represent us, our parents, i.e. what we taught you and all that stuff, all that it's in that song. So that's what kind of relates and hits, me compared to, how others feel about it. So really appreciate you, Lesā, on that.
Sick, man. Yeah, probably one of the, and I know probably like just in addition to the whole journey of the song, like I said, we had written the verses and the chorus. And so we booked out a week in studio here in Auckland. We flew up to Auckland to meet with our producer, Emmanuel in Sync. And we started laying down the track. The rap was a last minute addition to the song. And I know people have responded, like people, and I'm not ashamed to say this, but the rap is like the icing on the cake for that song. Like you can't have that song without the rap. But it nearly didn't happen. I had flown up to Auckland and I said to the Sualevai, okay, like, do you want to come? And he was like, nah, you go, bro. Alo Faiva. After 2 days, after 2 days in studio, we had like the bare bones, and I got sick. So I was sick the week of the studio and like still trying to record. But something was missing. I go, also, you need to get on the plane like right now. You need to get your butt up here. So I flew him up like literally. I spoke to him on Tuesday night, flew him up Wednesday morning into the studio. And between the time we spoke the night before and the time we got into the studio, we had the rep, and he just got in and we spent the whole day just, laying that down. And I'm glad we made that executive call, because I feel like the song wouldn't have been what it was or what it is without Doso's rap.
So, how's your life been since the release of the song? Like opportunities and stuff like that.
Oh man, where do I start? It's honestly, yeah.
Tell us everything. Everything.
He out there
Crazy,
slinging
man.
autographs, signing babies on the forehead, and
Signing shoulders and shoulder pads. No, it has been a roller coaster, and it literally started from the day of release. The song released on the 23rd of August, and literally that same afternoon, or the very next day, because we had been in touch with Nanai and Punya from Punya Lava, Nanai Puni. So they came in. We brought them into studio to kind of like, reference the track and get their feedback. And then when we finally released the track, we had been in touch. The day of release, he calls me up and he's like, "Usho, we're getting ready to go on tour." And I'm like, "Oh, cool." He's like, yeah, we want you to come. I was like, "Cool, who's on the tour?" It's like, me, you, Vania, the Feel Style. And I go, bruh, okay. When and this is literally like the day after release. And so from the get-go, it's been a whirlwind. I've been able to work with some people that I had never, in my wildest imagination, would have thought I'd be able to work with. Punya Lava being one, Vania. I've been able to go on my own solo tour back home and Samoa. I still haven't been to Pango yet. I'm lucky. My family's from Lauliti. My grandma's family's from Lauliti and Pango, so I'm looking forward to going back to American Samoa, hopefully this year. But it's honestly, I've been able to work with people who I grew up being like, yeah, man, like, oh, I'd love to meet you one day. Next minute, we're on stage together. We're texting, that kind of stuff. It's, even to this day, like, it still blows my mind because, dreams come true. Dreams come true. Dreams realized. And it's, even after it's been, 2019, we're about 5-6 years now after the release, I'm still riding the wave of Alo I Ou Faiva. And, I've been given so many opportunities to tour with people. I've been able to take care of my family, like my mom and my dad. I'm currently taking care of my parents. I'm the youngest of 3 siblings, and so I'm charged with the task of taking care of mom and dad, and through obviously royalties and gigs and stuff. And when I go on tour, I'm able to come here and be like, "Mom, Dad, yeah, there's your coupe," or here, I'll cover this bill, and that obviously the being able to meet people and work with the big names, that's awesome. But at the end of the day, like, man, if I can put some gas in my dad's car, I'm happy. Like, if I can shout him gas, that's the tick for me. Yeah. So but it hasn't been like, obviously some people, I've been very lucky growing up. I was taught at a very young age, and I've experienced what it's like to be in the public eye, or the spotlight, as some people will say. So it didn't get it hasn't gone to my head, or I haven't been in a situation where I've had to be like, "Oh, it's like, slow down, you're a bit too fast there, like, stop here," with all the autographs and stuff. It hasn't. You guys know the also Nick, so I came up with Nick from a very young, like, since I was 14. Him and his brother Jay, we used to be part of a company, performing arts company called Phoenix, New Zealand Young Performers. And man, I tell you, that was where we got put through the paces, and we learned about things like going on tour and accountability, and being presentable in the public eye. And so by the time this came around, man, I'd been trained for years ahead. So yeah, shout out to those on Nick from Matai. We're putting into practice all these things that we learned, that I learned off Nick and the boys. some 15, 16 years ago.
You mentioned your parents. Who do you think you take more of, your mom or your dad, with your musical talents and everything?
When it comes to musical talents, it's very, very balanced. Very balanced. When I say I come from a musical family, I don't mean that in the sense, other people say I come from a musical family and the whole family, mom and dad, they all play like 10 instruments and stuff. That's not the case with mine. Both my parents are well versed, like choristers. So like growing up, I knew mom was like a good alto, and I knew my dad, they're both like a good tenor. And just through Ofoi Bese and stuff, like I knew that growing up, and we would sing, and even now we still sing, in the car, our 3-4 part harmony when my sister's here and stuff. And so, yeah, we all like can sing. My brother is probably the next kind of musical one from the three. I'm the youngest of three, so he's the middle child, older than me, and he's probably like the next muso after me. And then my sister. So we all play instruments, so we all like play a little bit of something, and we all sing. So yeah, it's in the blood. Like it really is in the blood. This music thing.
And what life lesson have you learned, whether it's from your parents or from someone who mentored you? What lesson has stayed with you up until now?
Patience. Yeah, patience. I learned at a very young age, like what the consequences of not being patient, and the consequences of getting too ahead of myself. Like I learned that at a baby, like a young kid age. I don't know what the scenario is, but I know what the feeling was like. I can't remember what exactly happened, but I knew what it felt like to get ahead of myself, or to not stop and reassess. So parents or my family have taught me patience, and life has taught me patience. Sometimes I feel like obviously we know where we want to get, or some of us know where we want to get in a certain aspect of our life, but it's just not getting there. And I feel like God has taught me a big lesson about it'll happen when it's meant to happen. And so I've learned things that when I think back, I thought, oh shucks, I could have learned this 2 years ago, but upon reflection, I'm like, oh no, I need to learn this now. Like learning this at this time right now is what is meant to happen. So yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, but definitely like patience and just you have your time, you'll learn things and take things on in your time, and yeah, that's my lesson.
It's like that current phrase, just the process, As long as you stay diligent, consistent, you move through, and you just have to believe and manifest that it will come to pass.
Absolutely.
So, like, do you have any word of advice for, especially like, I don't know if there's a Mrs. Alo or any little Alo juniors running around, but
not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Well, I mean, hey, but do you have any word of advice for those, especially for the youth? And my focus is primarily in the youth, our youth, from those from both Samoas and just the Pacific Islands in general. We usually, a lot of us are talented, especially with regards to music, and we just need the opportunity to be able to showcase the talent itself, and then a level head to keep us on track. And so, do you have any words of advice towards the youth, Pacific Island youth, on how to not to say mimic exactly what you did, but to succeed while maintaining their own identity and anything of the sort, their own style and sound, and or if it's mimicry or like a mime or performing arts in general?
Yeah, I think the answer is you've framed it really nicely in the question, like the whole thing about identity. One of the biggest pieces of advice that I've ever been given from like a mentor of mine, and something that I still hold true to my heart today, is double down in your lane, whatever that is. Like really double down and like stick to that in the sense that, man, if you've got this, like, go hard. Sometimes, when people ask me, oh, what how would you advise, our young artists about, writing and stuff, or, how to write songs, and the same answer applies in whatever scenarios. You don't have to look far for inspiration and for the motivation to do what you do. It's around you every day. Like, you're surrounded by your story. You're surrounded by the stories that you could tell. You're surrounded by the people who will get you there, in terms of your push. And so, yeah, I'd say double down. Like, if you want to be a rapper, like a Samoan rapper, like, you've got all the tools needed in your manga to make that happen. Like, if you really want to be a Samoan rapper, you just have to listen to the Launga on Sunday. You'll find, like, so many good gems. You'll listen to the Laungas at Sualevai, or listen to the kid who's following the whalolongas outside, or listen to your aunties and your uncles when they're having a few beers. Like, you'll find all of that around you. You don't obviously, we tend to look towards overseas in America. Like, you obviously, that's a sound you want to imitate. That's cool. But whatever it is that you want to do, like, double down on your lane and make sure you're refining that every day and making sure that's in terms of opportunity, us islanders, or us Samoan people, Pacific Islanders, wherever you're from, Polynesia, Micronesia, Melanesia, we're very songa. You know what I mean? We know how to chase what we want, man. Like, and we'll do whatever. And I sometimes people look at that and be like, oh, it's a bit too much. It's like, no, man, we're hungry. Stay hungry, like, stay hungry, and just, you really got to chase it. When we won $5 and when we won $1, if we, we're going to find a way to get that dollar, and even if it means stealing from your brother's wallet to go buy the, say, Migi, you're going to do it, right? But yeah, that's what I love about our people, man. It's where we'll find ways to problem solve. We're always finding solutions, and so that would be my advice, man. Double down in your lane. Make sure, like, you stick to what you do. Do what you do best, and never stop being songa. Never stop being hungry to find a way, find an opportunity, find someone who knows someone, and keep your. I guess the last part of the answer is make sure the people that are around you are there to build you up and protect you. And I say that, like, very. I say that on purpose because, a lot of people who we think are there to support, they're there to support you, but and sometimes we need protection too. Protection from ourselves and who we tend to, turn into, but protection from just what can get to us, the kiapolo and stuff. So, yeah, double down, stay hungry, and if, you got your family, you got your circle on lock, that's, man, dangerous combo. I hope that made sense. Oh, son, yeah.
Moni lava le saunoanga le sa. Thank you very much. Your key on that, on your sio manga, how we are all capable of going above and beyond than what we are, as individuals. On top of that, I guess oleale kaua. What is it? What is important, or why was it important in your household? Because you grew up, you were born and raised in Auckland, of course. How important was it that the Samoa was intact in your household, i.e., your parents' upbringing, you and your siblings? How important was the Samoan, language still intact in there? Because coming from experience, I have a lot of cousins, nephews, family that were born and raised in New Zealand, Australia, to Samoan parents, and they do not know how to speak an inkling of Samoa. I guess the mindset is, their parents' mindset is so they don't need to learn the language. They have to learn the language of the Palangi, in that sense. So it's almost demeaning to our culture and our language, in that sense, to put us, secondary in that, sense. So how was that important in your family? Because hearing you speak Samoan fluently and singing fluently just tickles me, because you were born and raised out there. You're not, although, you are somewhat descent, but someone that was born and raised, and there's a lot of influence, from, the outside, Kiwis and, Maori and all the other cultures that's on there, like a little melting pot in New Zealand. How you and your family was able to thrive. So if you could touch up on it. And then on top of that, is Lesā a Matai title? Can you touch up on that and why Lesā is important to you? If you could touch up on that. Thank you, Uso.
Thank you, Uso. Silly. I count myself very lucky that growing up, and my siblings and I growing up, I don't ever remember like the Samoan language being like forced upon us. And what I mean by that is because I know there are a lot of I have friends and a lot of other colleagues and people that I know who their parents were like, you have to learn Samoan, like, and which I understand. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, but I never had that experience with my parents, or at least I don't remember that. Growing up, it was just the way we were brought up, like in its simplest terms. That's just how we were brought up. Like, I don't remember my mom and dad ever be like, hey, fasamalo or stuff like that. That's how we were raised. We were raised in the church. We were raised in the wider family. And so we grew up listening to my parents speak Samoan. And obviously, when we went to school, like we spoke English, but when we came home, obviously, like I done homework with my mom and my sister, and that was all good. But after homework, it was just a normal thing. Yeah, there was never any kind of force. I think that's what I like about our upbringing, is that we embraced it naturally growing up. We found our love for our culture and our language just through being part of church and being part of Sualevai and our family, and the family meetings that we'd go to every weekend, and so it was never forced upon us in our household. I remember this is probably like a key moment in my life. I've probably only ever shared it like maybe once or twice, but I remember when I was maybe like 7 or 8 years old, my dad asked me, comes to me and asks me, e kusi aku sau folfolanga. Like, do you want to learn how to follow the kongai at church? And I grew up doing hours in kongai and seeing this being done, and I always see the older boys. There's also Talia. The brother Talia he was like the main guy that done it. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I want to learn. Because I see Talia doing it. And I remember distinctly, like, I wish I could write a short film about this moment, but it was like I was in my room. It was like late at night and my light was on and my whamalu was on the floor, and I was just like sitting there waiting for my dad to come in and give me this piece of paper. And he opens the door and he's like, here's a piece of paper. And I felt like he had given me the script to like a multi-million-dollar like film that I was going to get this contract. Like, that's how I felt. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to learn this finally. Like, and so he gives me the piece of paper, and it was 4 lines. And it was game over from there. I was like, there's 4 lines. Faliuisil whanga maulunga lo sunga kofi. Sunga I Au Ao, blah, blah, blah. Kau kala il keu whakupu, ma le whekongai. Falium whafo ye au. Yeah, lela o kau kala iai. And I remember sitting there like on the floor of my whamalu, like learning that, like make sure I gotta get. And then when I finally got to do it, because we have like a big hall at church, sat down on the fella, I was nervous. And as soon as I'd done it, man, I was like, probably like screaming my head off just a bit too much. I was like, like overboard, but I was so excited to do it. And once I'd done that, man, like it was game over. And my dad has been my guide from that moment. I'm turning 29 this year, and my dad still guides me through. He's, from Folofolo Kongai, Valaau, Kongai to Folofolo Sua, and now, moving into my role as a young Matai in the family. It's the natural progression you go through. You have to learn one to get to the other, and so it's been I love the language, man. I love my journey of the language within my family and my upbringing, and it's brought me to where I am today. 2019, my family gave us the opportunity to head back home, and give us the honor of being bestowed Matai titles. I probably should have said this at the beginning, but I'll probably get it out of the way now. Is I just remembered, but I'm the youngest son of Leana Taiao, Leana Lesā Lani Alo, Taito Alopulo, from Sanapu and Malie and Ngangai Fulfanga and Lauli'i, Kamekir Moli and Pango. My mom is Alo I Ou Alo. She's from Mangyangi, Tawai Safune, and Safua, and Malava and Savai. So yeah, my Lesā title is a Kulafale title from Sanapu, where my dad is from. And so my dad was a Lesā before me. So prior to my getting a Lesā, he was a Lesā. When we went in 2019, I received the Lesā title, and my dad received the Sa'a title of our family, Leana. And yeah, it's like the start of a whole nother journey, because it's not full kongai anymore. It's like you gotta learn. It's like the big boys there is the big time. So that journey has been. I'm still going through that right now. I've had the opportunity to speak, kuko for my church in Dunedin, and for our students association and Dunedin and Otago, and that to me, those moments are all part of my growth and the language and being a young Matai. But it's super important to me, man. Like, it's a big part of my role as like all my life, So I'm a singer, I'm the artist, but at home I'm the Saufuluipuya, or Sualevai, Sualevai Kalangwang on Mele, and my parents look to me and they ask me about stuff, That's weird, because we always like leave the kongs to the oldies. But yeah, it's been a beautiful journey, man, and I'm really enjoying it right now. Really enjoying it. But yeah, it's a beautiful one. End of my essay. Sorry.
Yeah, that's amazing. I want to kind of change the topic real quick. So you mentioned being songa, huh? And that's a good advice. Be songa, but don't be sosongo. And speaking on those terms, what situations make you uncomfortable out in public? When you're out in public and someone does it to you, like they come up to you or do something, or you schedule something and it falls through. Could you say some situations that you've been in that makes you uncomfortable or you don't like it?
Speaking like from the point of view of like an artist, I know I speak for a lot of our artist brothers and sisters, or anyone with some sort of following. I know I'm all good for selfies and stuff. Like, if you ask me to take a photo of your kids, man, I love that. I'll do that. I'll stop whatever I'm doing. But man, the ones that really piss me off are the ones, and it's our uncles and our aunties that are notorious, huh? So ako market fongi po, and then I was like, just auntie, just ask, But they obviously everyone wants the photo, but it's the sly like.
I hate it when that happens,
bro. I tell you, man, like you can't really turn around.
Catch you off guard. Get a bad angle, bad lighting.
Yeah, it was just like it's the bad lighting, it's the face mid shot, but I can't. Yeah, that I was like, if you just ask, I'll be happy. I'll be more than happy. I get my social battery runs out real fast. Like, when it's weird because, as artists, we have to, there are times when we have to be in a public space for extended hours, and I'm all for that. I'll do what I have to do, but when I get home, man, I'm switching off. Like, they talk business or anything. Yeah, so it's probably not an annoyance, but it's just something that I'm always aware of. That, like just last night, my niece, my brother's daughter had their Fia night. We've got Polyfest coming up next week here in Auckland, and they had their Fia night, and man, walked into the room, and I was just like, please be a good night. Like, just because I know, people are always looking at you. People are always my kauhaka. And so I'm always very wary of that. And my social anxiety just hits the roof. But yeah, it's the unasked selfies that really, and just ask. We're nice enough. Yeah.
And that's good because I just wanted to point that out because we're all human, especially you. And we have those situations that we don't want, especially if we're trying to live our life on a regular daily basis, and we don't want our circle be invaded by people.
Yeah, especially when I'm like I'm always out with my parents a lot, because we go to do like mum and dad's whakao and stuff, or pay their bills, and yeah, it hasn't happened too often, but when it has happened, I'm just like, man, give I my le for get my whole fella le pisil thing on it. La unga whakao, I guess, but people. Yeah, it's always judge the situation when on its merits. Sometimes like they can't help it, but sometimes it's like, man, use your common sense. What?
Yeah, at least help you carry your groceries.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, at least help with the groceries. Like, come and load the stuff in the car with me, and we can take the photo or whatever. But I saw part of it. But you're right. Yeah, sometimes personal space can be very limited. Sometimes.
I find that curious because I had the opportunity a while back, a long time ago. I was visiting in American Samoa. I was in between duty stations, going from Japan to California. Still in the Marine Corps at the time, and I went to Samoa for a visit and actually found out that I was having a going away or a welcome home party. And Vanya Toloa happened to be there. He was related to one of my aunties, and they were staying at their whakamalo in Pango, the whalpingo, the big one, by the plaza. And at the time, I had no idea who he was. No idea. Didn't realize how big he was. I had been out of touch. I'd lived in the States for several years at this point, and I was just going home just to go home to visit. And he came over, and we sat down. I'm talking to this guy, and my aunt and uncle are like making a big deal out of it. Hey, come meet this guy. So I'm talking to him, and I'm just having a chat, and I have no idea who he was. And it was such a surreal experience because he's telling me about, like you said, regardless of what you achieve in life, and he was like, yeah, they had the opportunity. They were playing a show in American Samoa, several concerts, from what I understand, and they were offered to go sleep or at the Trade Winds at the time. I think they had just opened, but Vanya and the whole band wanted to just fola at the whakamalo in Pango. No kaingamu, just falas and alungas and stuff like that. And he was like, yeah, and then they were from Ma the whole whangua. They went and did all the farewells for the old lady because the kids are grown and stuff like that. But that was just the type of person, the type of caliber that he was. And I noticed that a lot of us who are rooted in culture, not just Pacific Islanders, and in multiple cultures that have a sense of respect towards elders and the like, they tend to not forget humility. Of course, there are a few oddballs here and there, like me. As soon as I make it big, I'm just going to be, you have to appointment to get it out. No, I'm just kidding. I'm never going to be that big. But the saying goes, you stand by your beliefs, you stand by your virtues, and I understand that you want to maintain that, because deep down, you may still be riding this wave of Alo I Ou Faiva, but you're still doing shopping with your parents, and it's still annoying, but you still try to make time for those who admire and adore you. And I think that's very admirable in the humility, because regardless of the social battery running thin, you still make the time, because it's what comes with the environment. It's what comes with success in any form.
Yeah.
You know,
You
good
still
and
got to
bad.
show up.
You still got to show up. You still got to answer stupid questions from guys with ugly mustaches and bald men. You know, you still got to show up. But you know, we appreciate the time and.
No, Siki, man. There's a story. You know, there's like a kalo kamaiki. I know you guys may have heard this like previously, but there's like a train. The man who takes the tickets on the trains. You know, every day his wife prepares a nice like flower for him to wear on his pocket to work, and he goes and collects the tickets every day. And this one day he runs into like a really aggro passenger on the train. This lady's just like, for some reason, she's just giving it to him, and it's like rah, 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 around his face, and he just sits there and like, sorry ma'am, I apologize. And in the heat of everything, like, she rips the thing out of this flower that his wife prepared for him out of his pocket, and he just picks it up and carries on. And I think one of the other passengers like asks him, why did you take it like that? Why did you let her speak to you like that? And the man turns around and he's like, I'm on duty. Like, I'm at work and I'm on duty. You know, it is my duty to, you know, treat whatever they're going through, treat the passengers with respect. Like, afterwards, I'm all good. Yeah, I'll sort it out. But I'm on duty. I'm wearing my ticket holder, you know, and I just thought, man, you know, you got to show up, you know, you got to show up. And it's funny you bring that thing up about Vanya, because you know, also when we were going on tour, I asked him, he's obviously been working on a whole lot of music for the past few years, new music that's yet to release. And I asked him, okay, also when are you thinking of dropping the album or whatever you're working on? And he goes, yeah, like, you know, like, when, and that was such a big lesson I learned for myself, you know, because I don't know, you name one artist in the music industry anywhere around the world today, you ask them, bro, when are you gonna drop your album? It's like, man, I just gotta check in with mom and see when she's keen. And I just thought, man, that's a top dude right there, man. Like, we got into the days, eh? Like, shout out to those who official Lati. Shout out to Vanya. Shout out to Funcha. Yeah. That's my story.
Yeah, and that's true. I always have to check with my wife before I come and record with a bunch of dudes.
I check with mine too. I get permission.
Not me. I'm not like these guys. You know, I just show up. I've been wanting to say something about the song, the Alo I Ou Faiva song, because when I first heard that song, I think it was a couple of months after it came out. Yeah, I think it was a couple of months after. I was already out of the Marine Corps. I was already living here in Vegas with my wife, and we had a daughter already. And your song came out, and I listened to it. I'm like your song was a big reminder of, because, like, you know, just how the word is, Alo I Ou Faiva, you know, it's like, to go do what you need to do. Like, most parents, Samoan parents say, you know, Alo I Ou Faiva, o mama, you know, faya maguia, mokoi foi mai. So when I heard that song, not really in tears, it was like more, I was sad, because it reminded me of the 3 years I had to leave Samoa and go up to Hawaii by myself while my parents were in American Samoa. I had to go to Hawaii for high school because my parents believed that, you know, the school system in Samoa is good, but it wasn't good enough for me. So I had to go to Hawaii for high school. So it brought back so like so many memories, dark times, because I didn't know any of my family members in Hawaii. So I went to my freshman year in Hawaii. Like I didn't know anybody. I was fresh off the rock. I had to like keep my head down and learn all this new knowledge that they don't have in Samoa. So that was one of the biggest memories. The second one was my first year in the Marine Corps, because unlike the Army, there's not many Samoans in the Marine Corps. So when I joined the Marine Corps, I had a buddy with me, Chanel Gwynbag. That was the only Uso I knew. And for 3 months, we were in boot camp together. But as soon as we graduated, I was on my own. I went to North Carolina, didn't know any Samoans. Like, I was there for, I think, a month. I didn't know anybody. And I was homesick. I wanted to go home. And then after I was done with my schoolhouse, I went to Japan. There's no Samoans there either. So that whole time, while your song was playing, within those few minutes, like all those memories come rushing back. Like those words saying just do what you need to do, and then go back to your family. Like you don't give up. That's basically what that song meant to me. Like, I know how you said that song wasn't made to it was supposed to be an inspirational song. I didn't take it as a gospel song. That's exactly how I took it, as an inspirational song and a motivational song at that. Like, because it brought back all those times that I was down. I wanted to quit. I wanted to go UA with this unauthorized absence for the Marine Corps. I want to just get on the flight, go home. Like the hell with this, man. Like, there's no Samoans here. Like, I miss my family. I've never done this before. Like, I just want to quit. But through those 3 minutes, like the first 3 minutes of the song, like those memories came rushing back. Like it was like somebody beating me up. Like, because I'm a tough guy. But that song was like what Press said. It touched a soft spot. It was like it like, excuse me, it was whooping my ass. Like, I was thinking there, like, man, I can't believe I suck it up for all those years, and then this song finally comes out. Where has it been all my life? This should have been one of the songs that I was listening to while I was trying to suck it up back in the day. So when Prez told me that we got an interview with you, I was like, oh, I'm giving it to him. I'm like, what took you so long, man? Like, what took you so long to come up with this song, man? Like, I was out there hurting, thinking about going AWOL for an Army term. I couldn't take it. Like, I didn't want to go home. Like, because for most Samoans that join the military, though, because we are brought up on family. So when we leave our family, like, that's a really big hit to your ego and to your soul. Like, I know some people say that they're missing home, but not like us, Samoan guys. When we leave American Samoa and we join the military, like, that's a whole nother homesick. That's a whole nother level of homesick that we have to go through, because unlike people out here in the US, and other countries, Samoans we're more family oriented. So, like, it hurts when we have to leave. So when your song came, man, I was like, man, finally, somebody who can feel me. or at least that's how I took the song. But your second song, the 12 Minute, now that's a gospel song. But the other one, for sure, is not a gospel song.
I appreciate
All right, that's my part.
No, I appreciate that, Russo, because you're right. Like, essentially the song is a reminder. You know what I mean? It's not a leo se mea fou, leo ngiupu fou. Like, and people always ask, like, where's the inspiration for the lyrics and stuff? And like I said, it's like, man, it's around us every day. We're surrounded by people. We hear this every day, whether it's at a wedding or in a family talk or even at a funeral. Like you said, when the Makais get up, whoever's go, yeah, Alo I Ou Faiva, yeah, manguia, sao maulid fa moe. Like, these are things we hear every day. So it's not a new concept, but it's just like where I come from is mean. Where I come from, my people know, and thank you for sharing that. Also, that's a beautiful sentiment, and I'm sorry it took so long. we got there in the end.
Yeah, Olivia Tafia Fatu. You don't have to lie that you cried when you heard this song. We're here for you, Fatu. So yeah, whether it's Alo I Ou Faiva or Tui Manu, every time I listen to it, I feel that weakness, and it's almost like seeing memories in flashbacks that come to me every time. But we do like to ask our guests, what question do you have for us? We like to learn, we like to improve. So, do you have any questions for us before we end this?
Yeah, I've always wondered, because I've a lot of my I know you're all veterans and stuff, and I've got a lot of friends as well as family who are veterans also and have retired and come back, and I always wonder about what the transition is like for our Samoan, like us Samoans, or us islanders who are serving, that transition from the military or the Marine Corps and coming back home. Like, what's that like for you guys, man? Because I'm very on the total opposite spectrum of the line of work, but I always wonder what that's like, because we hear stories of through the media and obviously in film and stuff, of a lot of our veterans who come back, and it's not a nice experience, and I apologize if that's a sensitive, topic to, but I've always wondered that, and I've actually never had now that I'm thinking about it, I've actually never had the chance to ask my own cousins from, half my family in WEO returnees and stuff, or are currently, training and stuff. But yeah, that's what I've always wanted to ask. What's the transition like coming back home?
Oh, we love to answer these type of questions. So for me, when I got out of the Marine Corps, it was a difficult situation to adjust from, because now you're getting out, you don't have a job. You now have to find a place to live, because at the time I was staying at the barracks that was provided by the military. But now I'm off by myself, newly married. Now I have to support someone else other than me. It's a lost feeling now that you're leaving a brotherhood. You're leaving an organization that already tells you what to do every day, that plans out your life, but now you've become your own person again. So for me, it's a lot of things hitting you at once: confusion, being lost. So that was my experience. I don't know how the others felt, but I'm sure they felt similar to what I felt. It's a time for adjustment, and it's a time to start adapting to new life outside what you're used to, whether it's for 4 years or more than 4 years, because that's the minimum contract that we serve is 4 years.
I think to really touch on that question, we have to answer some misconceptions about what the general public sees. So one of the common misconceptions is everybody's joining the military, and then they're going to hold up arms, and they're going to be in the infantry. You're going to go to war. That's a misconception, because there's tons of jobs and titles in the military. There's not only, you have your infantry units, you have your supporting units, logistics. There's different job titles within the military. And they also, some transitions are, I would say it's more harder compared to others, compared to, specific what type of job you are doing in the military. So somebody say that was deployed for X amount of time to war may have a difficult time to transition compared to somebody that was in the rear. And when I mean rear, I mean somebody that's never been deployed and did X amount of years in the military. The transitions on both individuals is very different. I would say a majority of military individuals that do get out of the military and they have been deployed for at least 1 or 2 times in a combat area, i.e. Middle East or wherever, in the world. And I'm specifically talking about the United States military. And they have it 10 times harder. We have a lot of health issues that are involved, i.e. combat, PTSD, mental health issues. And I won't say that their job is not important compared to the guy that's never seen combat or been to war, because in the military in general, everybody's job is important, because without that guy that's sitting behind the computer, doing everything logistically, the guy that's on the field won't be able to do what he needs to do on the combat field. So I would say every transition is different. Specifically to me, I was in the medical field, and my job was kind of very hard in the way that I've seen a lot of i.e. see dead bodies and so to speak. So interestingly, I did my undergrad in biology, and one of our clinicals was we had to go to the morgue and we had to operate on cadavers. And I guess for some time, my partner and I, we were working, and then all of a sudden, I just blanked out for maybe a minute or two. And within that time, it was just a flashback of images going through my head of, while I was in. So in that respect, there's mental health issues that some sailors, soldiers, Marines that deal with on a daily basis, and that's the hardship that they have to deal with after the military. Now, the transition could be easy. For me, it was easy because I'm in the medical field, and I understand the process. I have the knowledge. I know the process, and then getting my stuff was easy compared to Marine, and I had to help a lot of Marines in their transition because their access to medical records was limited and was very hard. And a lot of the Marines that I had to deal with, their chain of commands were giving them a lot of issues, and I kind of stepped in because I had access to their, i.e. medical records, and I could have pulled it up. And, for many of the Marines that I had the privilege of working with and serving side by side with. So, I know it's a very compact answer, and hopefully that was able to answer your question, but, it's different from every individual depending on their job in the military.
Gayoso?
For me, I would say it was easy because when I got out, I had my wife by my side. If she wasn't here, I'd probably be homeless and drunk on the streets somewhere. But, because my wife by my side, she handled everything. She took everything. Like, she helped me through it. Because when I was getting out, I have an attention span of a squirrel. I could not pay attention to anything. Because, I'm so used to, because when I was getting out, I was an infantry guy. So, mostly I'm used to just training. That's all I do. Just train, get deployed, train, get deployed. So, with my wife, staying back, supporting me, when I was getting ready to get out, she had everything together. Because she was trying to help me, because now no one's telling me the plan of the day. Because I was ready to get out, I had to figure all that out for myself. I had to go apply for a job, and most of the jobs that I can apply for is security jobs or being a police officer. And with my anger issues, I can't be a police officer. So my wife had to help me, find jobs, go talk to people, go see therapists. I like talking about things like that. Talking about my feelings wasn't my thing. Talking to these guys about my feelings, because they like to joke around, so it makes it easier for me. But talking to a whole different person, it was hard. That's why, a lot of the military people that transition out, some of them don't make it. Most of them do, because most of them have somebody helping them. For us Samoans, so I'm going to speak for us Samoans, most of us are good. Because remember, we're family-oriented people. So when we get out, we always have a cousin, an uncle that's already been in our shoes. So they always tell us, what we can do. And then for me, when I got out, most of these guys are already out. So, they were helping me on the process of what to do. Because if I didn't have these guys, or if I didn't have my wife, because my last duty station was California. When I got out, I'd probably be homeless, drunk, collecting my veterans check and just drinking on the road. But because of, us being Samoan and being family oriented, I had all the help I needed. Like I was set. So that's my answer to your question.
Yeah, and I can attest to Fatu. He's a party animal, and I want to thank his wife Miranda. Thank you for taking care of our friend.
Shout out to Miranda. Let's go.
Shout out indeed to Miranda. So before I close this out, I got two opinions on this as far as transitioning from a military mindset to the civilian world. The first one is an outside opinion. There are, especially in American Samoa, there is a large military presence, especially in the Army. A lot of people, for a lot of the Samoans, that's the way off the island to a successful future if you're not the valedictorian, or if you weren't gifted to bench press 225 50 times and with an outstanding skill to be successful in the NFL. I mean, everybody else's fallback is the Army. It's a way to pay for school. It's a way to give you some life lessons and put some money in your pocket. And then it's a way for you to tell your friends that I've been to Germany or Japan but usually what I see in Samoa is when they come back is exactly what Fatu said. There's a lot of family members that have already gone through it. And if they're not family members, there's people in the village. There's people around. There's services. There's people. There's even the American Samoa ASG has a lot of departments that coincide with the VA that assist in helping veterans. We take that a big deal. We're very proud of that fact. Now, for me, my personal transition was kind of interesting because I equate it to the opposite of what happened when I moved from Samoa to the States. When I moved from American Samoa and we moved to the States after my grandpa's funeral, went to school for the first time, public school. In Samoa at the time, they were still hitting kids. So if we were talking in class, but I get to Utah and I go to class, and this kid's talking, Palangi kid. He's talking, and this mean-looking teacher is a male Palangi guy, and he looks over at the kid and he's like, "Hey, you need to stop talking and sit down." And the kid turns around and is like, "You shut up," and then called him all these cuss words, and I'm like, "Whoa." Whatever. Nothing happened. I was so blown away. I didn't know that that's how it was in the rest of the world, naive little, and it was a rude awakening. Now, in the military, there's ranks. And if you achieve a certain rank, you speak to the people below you a certain way because it's like the Fasa Moa. Kasi kala sa kaya po kala what king ala oi. It's always like that. And so it's easy to get stuff done or pass information because you find the guy with the high ranking and you tell him, "Hey, can you tell all those guys over there to come, let's go." And then he'll say, "Hey, all of you stupid, let's go." And everybody gets up and do it. You go to civilian life, you can't do that. You go tell somebody, "Hey, you stop doing that." And they'll turn around and tell you to F off or something to that effect. And so it becomes a new readjustment into the social aspect, right? Now, I was a type of person that I thrive under pressure. If I don't have a purpose, I stagnate. I sit. I do nothing. So if you don't tell me to get up and go to the gym, I could sit and play video games for 12 hours. Or I can sleep and eat and watch TV and do nothing. So the biggest thing that helped me transition was I was married tomorrow, 13 years tomorrow, the day before I got out of the Marine Corps. So And the first couple of years of my marriage, I forgot my anniversary because I remembered the day I got out of the Marine Corps, which is March 6th. But I got married March 5th. And so because when I got married, I had to shoulder the responsibility of providing for a family. And then, it came with a bonus child, and I had another one on the way. So I was instantly a father. I was instantly the one responsible. Had to figure out a way to provide. And that was kick me into high gear. Whatever PTSD, whatever issues I had went straight to the back burner because this kid and this woman needs me. And that was it. It was an easy transition. Over the years, a couple of things started creeping its head out. Drink too much. All of a sudden, now I'm crying, or now I'm angry. Angry issues coming out. Mental health stuff's coming out. But at that point, I've established in my relationship with my wife, her name is Kiwan, by the way, to where I had her to lean on, and she supported me. And then if I needed the comedic support that doesn't really require a lot of deep talking, I go to these guys, because it's easy for me to talk to someone who experienced same experiences as me and understands. I don't have to go into detail and explain why my heart is hurting right now or why I'm sad. I just got to say, like, hey, man, and like, got you. And so it's always nice to have a support unit, and our culture is real good with that, with support, with the family coming together, with the village coming together. That's essentially it. As long as you have that core group, that support group, it's not simple, but it's doable to transition. And I highly recommend that for all of your family members. Treat them as if they never left. A lot of family members that have people join the military and leave for a time come back to an unappreciated family because everybody else has moved on. And you're not a part of the routine, Now you're the guest in the house. Hey, sit down. Don't worry about it. What do you want to eat? We'll bring you. Don't worry about the dishes. Don't worry about the house. You're the guest. And it's like, no. I'm the brother, Give me something to do. So tell him to go, everything. Bring them back in as a part of the unit. Because without it, when they feel like a guest, then they just stay away. Because I'm a guest in my own family, that's my word of advice as far as transitioning is. And I don't think you have to be in the military. I just think it's in general. Say you move out on your own, like the song, Alo I Ou Faiva. And then you come back home. And you come back a changed person, learn new life lessons, bring him back in. He's not the guest. He's just the son that went to learn something. That's it. Now I'm soapboxing too hard. But it makes sense, eh?
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate and the reason why I asked is because I'm a big believer that, these seasons of transitions that we go through really are a real test for us as people, regardless of, like you're totally right. You don't have to be in the military to, to go through the season of transition. But I was just really interested in, from perspective of a veteran, because we're constantly in transition, every day, and the seasons change, and it's always very inspiring to hear what that season is like for different people, whatever their life is revolving around. So thank you for sharing that, brothers. Honestly, man, interview. Thank you.
It's like the saying goes, well, I'd like to thank Lesā Lani Alo, for gracing us with his presence today. We're grateful for the opportunity to have you on the podcast Behind the Lava Lava. This episode is brought to you by Matai Watches, because get yourself a little bit of your culture and history, something that represents us, the island people, And of course, come on, man, look at that. That thing's flashy. It looks good. It accents our brown skin, all of that. So yeah, this episode is brought to you by Matai Watches. Shout out to you guys, Nick and Andrew. Also, shout out to Lesā Lani Alo. So if you guys are in the area in Melbourne, we have the Pacifics concert, March 18th. So he'll be performing there as well. So go ahead and catch them. If you want to add anything else to that, any more information that's regarding.
Yeah, we're just recently, like literally 48 hours since it's been announced, but we'll be doing, I'll be jumping on the New Zealand tour, Mr. Cowboy's New Zealand tour, happening here for those, the Kiwis tuning in, Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, Palmerston North, and Napier. Check out our socials for more details. But yeah, hitting the road with Mr. Cowboy and also Puni from Puni Lava. So that's going to be a whirlwind. It'll be a good one. Yeah.
There we go. And soon, next thing you know, Salt Lake City. You know, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Hope to see you out here. This is my name is Johnny. This is Behind the Lava Lava. We thank you for tuning in. Tō whāsai fua.